سبيل الدموع سبيل
This is going to be an interesting topic where we are going to dive down into 5 ways to deliver what you've promised. Now, this guy. Where's that guy? This guy. Grant Cardin. That's the cover of the book. Be obsessed or be average. And that's the book. That's the book. Cool. This guy talks at very interesting. He kind of talks in a very different angle. You need to understand the context of what he's saying. But then, when I was scripting this down, it's he says, deliver what you've promised, or probably 10x, deliver 10x than already you promised. But the bottom line becomes is delivering what you promised. And in this particular video, we are going to dive down into 5 ways how can you deliver what you actually promised. Now, you have to be very sure in what you're promising, because a promise is something that you have to stand by. A promise is something that people are going to ask you if you do not deliver. Promise is something you have to deliver no matter what. Over delivering is great. That's step number 2, probably step number 3, probably step number 4. But step number 1 is whatever you are promising, you are making sure that you are delivering that content to them. End of the story. This particular video is going to, I'm kind of promising 5 ways to deliver what you have promised. Now I'm going to share just 5 steps with you. If I share probably 5 steps plus 2 bonus points for you, that's over delivering. If probably I says if I share probably 5 steps plus a half step, again it comes into the banner of over delivering. If I share 4 steps with you instead of 5, I kind of slip as I'm just speaking to you. That's under delivering. People are going to ask you about that. People are going to raise a question. Worst case scenario, people are going to ask you for a refund of what they've invested in. Worst case scenario, people are going to write something bad about you in your reviews. It's like, this guy's not delivering something. We don't want that. We don't want a negative comment. People will be there who doesn't like what you're saying, but then from our side, we should be foolproof. I am giving you what I've promised. Very clear, very subtle, up on the face. This is what you can this is what you can expect from me. Done, dusted. So being very careful and conscious of what you promise to people, that works like a guarantee. Now, in 5 ways to deliver what you promised. Point number 1, we took 2.5 minutes just to set the context. It was so great. 5 ways to deliver what you promised. Point number 1, when you are building your community, the first and the foremost thing that you always have to know is, once you even have that 1 member inside the community, 2 members inside the community, those members are going to grow. That 1 is going to become 10, is going to become 50, is going to become 100, is going to become 200. That's just going to grow. Now, based on your business model, how you work, how do you want to look at things and stuff like that, you don't stick with very less number of people. You always you're always running advertisements, you're marketing all the time, and you're getting people inside the community. So one rule that you should follow, which is advisable, recommended, is you are running weekly calls. You are meeting people on a weekly basis. If not 1, 2 calls. You can start with 1, it will be too much if you do 2, but then 2 would be great. Stick with 1. You can start with 1. I am doing 1 weekly calls with my community members. So in these weekly calls, what happens is you get to talk to them. You get to have a conversation with them. The best way of doing a conversation, understanding exactly, you are already experienced, you are skilled, you are having those expertise. But when you go out and talk to people, the same subject, you might find a different dimension of them they are expecting from you. Great. What is that? You can venture out and learn things. For example, if you're talking about affiliate marketing, okay, great. What do you want to learn about affiliate marketing? How do you want to make money? And stuff like that. That's where, when you do weekly calls and when you start building those communities, that one community that you're building, the initial phase is very critical in understanding what they want. What they want is very important. So what do you do when you are doing weekly calls with them? A Zoom session, a simple Zoom session is great. You record that, put that in an archive. What happens is, when you're talking to them, you are exactly knowing the pulse of the community. Now, once you have once you grow up, maybe 100 members, 300 members, 500 members, you get to know exactly pulse again. The more number of people you have, the exact you know what they want, and based on those patterns you can start creating content, and start creating content that is eventually going to deliver them and get them results what you've promised. Point number 2, you are going to also create in-house buddies. Now what do you mean by in-house buddies? In-house within the community walls. I wanted to have an accountability partner outside my mentors community. I failed every time that I asked them, it's like, can you hold me? Because though they were very great friends of mine, they couldn't understand what I was going through. They couldn't feel what I was going through. They did not knew what I was asking. Then what I said, like when I looked for an accountability partner who happens to be a great friend of mine today, that one person, when I was like, hey, I want you to hold me accountable for the things that I'm doing or things that I actually promised. When that happened, I started to grow in my journey. That person started to grow in that person's journey. It's like both of them growing together. That's the fun part, because no, they understand you, you understand them. They feel you, you feel them. They know exactly what you're going through, you know exactly what they're going through, because you are in that zone, in that flow, and you are experiencing similar things together. Different families, different homes, different states, different countries, doesn't matter. Once you are in the same mindset, if what you're going to face is going to be similar to what they are going to face. Creating in-house buddies for your community. When you create that within the community, it's more effective, efficient, and impactful. Point number 3, they share their stories. Now you let people talk within the community walls. You know why? Because one thing I love is talk about myself. Talk about my struggle, talk about my journey, talk about my successes, how did I did that, how did I fail that, how can I do that, that funny story, that weird little story. I love talking about those things. The thing is, I never got an opportunity to talk about those things. So what happens? Those feelings, those emotions, those thoughts, those conversations that I want to do, I'm not able to do that. People don't resonate with me. What do I do? It's within me. When you give that opportunity to people to share what they want to share in a specific framework, specific time limit, when you ask them to do that, they like that, they love that, they respect you, they value you, because now you give them an opportunity to speak. People love speaking, people love talking about themselves. And now being an introvert, now when you give them an opportunity to speak, they are going to love you so much. Why? One reason, because they were never heard before. They never had their voice before. Now that you kind of give them, you kind of pull those triggers, like, hey, you have to talk about the new struggle and anything that you want to share with the group, anything. Like, don't even think that there's a group. Don't even think that there's a group. Just share what you have to share. Now, when you do that with your members, they are going to love you so much, because they have that safe haven, that community. They feel safe. They want to share. They want to share those cool moments, those bad moments. They want to take what's within them and come. And when they are sharing, probably the new members, now they are getting inspiration from these members. So they are now going to take those actions and get to that level, and now they are going to share those experiences. Then you have new people. They are going to get inspired from these members. Now they are going to come and hit those milestones. Now they share their stories. The loop continues, and what do you get in return is satisfaction, fulfillment. It's like you are changing people's life. That was point number 3. Point number 4 is making sure they join most of your calls. You're going to probably have a lot of calls within the community. One call that you can have is like your inner circle calls that you do on a weekly basis. Probably I do is onboarding calls as well. I have multiple levels within the community. We have like multiple levels, and for each level I've got a specific mastermind, specific time that we show up, we have fun, we kind of give them practical strategy. I listen to the stories, they get inspiration, so many cool things happen. So you make sure that they attend those calls and life doesn't take over them, because that is bound to happen. That's where you have a very strong follow-up, a reminder sort of a system on the back end. You don't have to get over even thinking about it. It's just a process. It's a step-by-step process where once you have that system placed in you, once you have that support placed in you, you make sure that they attend. And if they don't attend, get them on a different call. Not a different call, next later. Keep on following up with them. Always make that habit of following up with them, because it helps them when you keep on following it. Them probably life has taken over, probably some tragedy happened, probably they're on vacation, probably they lost touch, probably some serious stuff is happening within life. But when you keep on constantly following them, it's like, dude, this guy really cares for me. Dude, this guy genuinely cares for me, which you are towards the end of the day. Makes them come back, take actions, succeed in what they want to do, succeeding in what you have promised them in the first place, delivering the promise, delivering what promise. Fifth one is this, like a tactical thing within the Zoom. You have this one option called breakout rooms. One of my favorite rooms, where when I got to know what breakout room is, I was like, dude, it's so much fun. When I started doing breakout rooms, though I was hosting, and the thing was, I knew how much fun there is within the breakout rooms. Like, it's like when there's like a stage, for example, if you don't know what breakout room is, you go to an offline event, there's like a stage. That person, the speaker talks, the speaker goes and gives a framework to all the people. Probably there are like 50 people, 100 people. It's like you can circle around in five members each, and you can discuss what you've learned. So given a framework, given a way of doing things, and all those 5 people who are just right beside, like, what do you do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They sit. The next table, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when they sit, they discuss, and the speaker comes like after 20 minutes. They give like time for 15 minutes to discuss, to talk about things that they've learned, share things and like that. In other words, in Zoom, that we have breakout rooms. So when I experienced Zoom for the first time, I was like, now I want to implement in sessions that I do. And when I started doing those sessions, and when I started making people get inside the breakout room, being host, I cannot get inside a breakout room because I have given them instructions. I have to handle the backend system. I have to handle the technical part of the system. I need to make sure that people are going inside the room. So all the backend system I have to take care. I so wanted to be a part of a breakout rooms in my own sessions, so that even I can get to experience things. Sadly, I couldn't. But breakout rooms is like one of the most powerful tools that you can use being a coach, being a businessman, being teaching people, building communities. This is one of the most very powerful and impactful tool that you can incorporate in all your sessions, in all your community calls, where they get to interact with each other. Now, once they get to interact with each other, you are going to see the magic happening. So 5 ways to deliver what you've promised. You follow these 5 steps and you are going to make an immense impact you don't even think about. You don't even have an idea of what sort of impact that you're going to create. That being said, thank you so much for being a part of this program video. These videos, it used to be 8 to 10 minutes. Now it's beyond 10 minutes. I love that. That being said, thank you so much for being a part of this video, and I will see you in another video on another side. And thank you so much for being a part of this video.
وبث الدعاء الخفي الصريح يسعك الفضل